Hello. Hey everybody. What's good? What's good in the hood, y'all? What's poppin'? What's poppin'? How's it going? I like to leave a few minutes before we actually start just so everybody can come inside my little studio and I wouldn't want anyone to miss a second of this beautiful show that I've got here. I wouldn't want you to miss out on such a special opportunity to see what it's like in here. As you can see, one of my light things fell down and I'm too lazy to try and put it back up because the wall is just not sticky enough for sticky light things, so it just keeps falling down. So I'm just gonna leave it because I can't do it anymore. The Mad Stealer wants a shout out. Everybody, pay attention to the Mad Stealer because the Mad Stealer on Periscope, the _mad_stealer wants a shout out. So, everybody's asking right now these days, woo! Whoa, 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 whoa. Hold it there. Hey. Everybody's asking lately about Iran. Iran's the hot topic. Should we go to war with Iran? And there's some people who are like, bomb Iran. And then there are some people who are like, no, leave Iran to do whatever they want to do. And then there are some people who are like, we love Iran. So, and then there are some people who are like, I don't want to have anything to do with this. I don't even want to ask questions. So, for me, I guess I'm in the camp of like agnostic. Somebody's asking if I keep Sharia law. I do not. I am not Muslim. But Iranian Muslims, I would say, I think are very different than... I feel like Iran gets bunched up with the rest of the Middle East, and they're very different. I was just reading a book by Niall Ferguson called Western Civilization, The West and the Rest. And it talks about the different parts of the Middle East and how they're faring. And Israel happens to be the leading innovator in the Middle East. They happen to be they have over 7,000, between 7,000 and 8,000 patents. And all the Muslim countries in the world combined have like between 500 and 600. And so Israel has a huge advantage, and not just in patents, but in inventions and like their engineering and stuff. Israel has a huge advantage over all the other countries in the Middle East. Which is why they probably why they hate Israel. But there's one country that does have a lot of scientific advancement, and that is Iran. Iran is people underestimate how industrialized underestimate how educated Iranians are. They see Iranians as like, like, barbarian. Iranians tend to be very pro getting education, very smart, very advanced, and their engineering is like the major thing in Iran right now. Like, these kids, from when they're children, from when they're in elementary school, they all learn how to code. We don't have that in the United States. They have that there in Iran. These kids are learning how to code. They're learning how to speak all different languages. They know English from when they're kids. They've got really advanced technology, and they basically run on nuclear power. And I think that it's very underestimated. People assume that because Iran is they're a Sharia-run country, that for that reason they are probably like not advanced in anything, and they're like very uncivilized. But they have Sharia motives. They are very conquestual as a country, and their thing is promoting Sharia and taking Sharia to all the countries. But they still are very, it's, you know, the stereotypes I think it's a very misunderstood country. And they are very powerful in the region. Probably not, though, more powerful than some of the other countries. I think Iran is being focused on as like the most powerful nuclear power, but they're actually not. They are very powerful because of like their advancement, but they're actually not the most powerful in the Middle East. There are other countries that are way more advanced than they are. I think it was like Pakistan. Pakistan has more for way longer than Iran. Pakistan has had their nuclear program, and I don't know. I would be afraid of Pakistan. And there are other countries. I think there's probably, as some of you have seen, Dan Gabriel, former CIA. He was in the CIA for 9 years. He was actually supposed to be on this show tonight, but he wasn't able to make it. And I came late. I came from the airport. So Dan, what he said when he was here, on the last time he was here, he basically said that it seems like it's very calculated whether or not we should go to war with Iran. It doesn't have anything to do with the threat of actual nuclear war. He said that might actually be totally irrelevant. It's totally based on leverage. Someone is asking me why I'm defending Iran. I'm not defending Iran. I don't know what makes you say that. And also, like, please, like, if you're gonna be like butthurt for me asking questions and trying to explore this situation, just get off my live stream. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear your stupid, like, one-sided, like, you know, I'm not picking any sides. This isn't affecting me personally. This is me exploring something, and I'm not actually coming to any conclusion. I'm literally just exploring a question that has a bunch of different sides and that I don't know all of, but I'm telling you what I know. So I'm not defending Iran. In fact, my parents escaped the current regime. They escaped when the Islamic Revolution happened, and they came to the U.S. in the 80s. It was really hard for them they were smuggled out. They had to live in Europe and they were refugees. They were accepted by Austria as refugees. And then after living in Austria as refugees, they had to live there for a while until they finally were able to get, they applied for visas to come here to the United States. It was really hard for them to come here from Iran. And a lot of Iranians, you know, you could have a nuanced conversation about Iran without it being that you're actually defending Iran, because a lot of Iranians, actually most Iranians, don't, the ones that I met, both Muslim, non-Muslim, Baha'i, like whatever it is, do not like the current regime. They don't like it. The current regime is very like fundamentalist, and most Iranians tend to be secular. Even if they are Muslim, the Iranians tend to be more focused on science. In my opinion, from what I have seen, growing up as a Iranian heritage child in Los Angeles. So, and you know, and also being around a lot of Iranians fresh out of Iran, FOB, fresh off the boat. And so I really think it's misunderstood, but I also think I probably don't know a lot about it. Dan Gabriel, as I was telling you, former CIA, was on the show, and he was talking about it. He said, actually, it's more about leverage. Leverage is a big thing. It's kind of like the Cold War. And he also said that it's not necessarily about Iran itself, but about Russia and the power that Russia has in the region and Russia's alliance with Iran. And so I honestly don't understand the politics of it, but from what it sounds like, there's a whole strategic war at play, and it's not necessarily about bomb Iran. It's not necessarily about that, but there are people who, so the strategists, the war strategists, are dealing with that part of it. But then there's like the rest of like the media and all these people have like their very simplified versions. That's what it sounds like from what I understand. That's what it sounds like. I'm not defending Iran, and I'm not saying bomb Iran. I do not want bomb Iran. I have family there. So I'm just telling you what I know. The question is, so another question that Dan brought up on the show, Dan said, basically, we're calling Iran state sponsor of terrorism. We want to call Iran state sponsor of terrorism because once you call another country state sponsor of terrorism, then you have the green light to go to war with them. So you're basically going to war with someone, with another country, unprovoked. So that's like a big deal. And we have to have a reason to go to war with Iran. And it seems like because of the power plays in the region, because of like the U.S. wants to go to war with Iran. Our military people want to go to war with Iran. They don't have they want there to be a reason to go to war with Iran. That's, from what it sounds like, that's really what it sounds like. Because, and I'm not saying that the U.S. military is right or wrong for doing that. I'm just saying, like, it seems that there are other factors in play. There's certain leverage that Iran has over the United States. It comes down to this is everything that I have learned so far in the past few weeks. This is everything I learned in the past few weeks. Guys, stop being butthurt. I'm literally just telling you what I'm learning as the process is going on. It comes down to a war between Shia and Sunni Islam. That's what it comes down to. Shia and Sunni. I don't understand how the split happened. Some thousands of years ago, there was a split between Sunni and Shia Muslims. They believe that, one person was a prophet, but then another, like the son-in-law. I don't know. I can't explain it to you. But so right now, there's the Iranians are the Shia Muslims, and then like the Saudis and those people are the Sunni Muslims. And so there's this conquestual war between them. And the Shia, and so somehow the United States is like allied with the Sunni, like Saudi Arabia. And someone is saying, last I heard, Saudi Arabia was not shooting down American assets and threatening America and intel. Yeah, I mean, it seems like Saudi Arabia is an ally. So that's good for America. But anyway, so I think we found ourselves on one side. I don't know. But that's what it sounds like it comes down to. I don't even know that, like, it's kind of like when two people are having drama, Sunni and Shia are having drama, right? And then you step in, somehow you've stepped in because you're just like a busybody, you're just a yenta and you just want to be part of everything, right? So you step in and put your hand in everything, right? Because we're the United States, we like to do that. We put our hand in everything. But then, like, there's no stepping out. You can't step out because you're already involved. You've already at some point picked a side, and you've already gotten entangled in that, and in order to defend yourself, now it just becomes about defending yourself. You don't want the other side to like have power, because then they're gonna come after you at some point. So like I think at some point it did become actually self-defense. And so there seems to be a line between well, how much, so there's leverage. We're trying to get rid of the leverage that Iran has in the region, because we're trying to protect ourselves, because we don't want them to come and hurt us or hurt our allies in the region that might be protecting us or whatever. So there seems to be, we want to get rid of the leverage. So in order to get rid of the leverage, we're going to call Iran state sponsor of terrorism. Once we call them state sponsor of terrorism, we have an excuse to go in and go to war with them unprovoked, because once you call someone state sponsor of terrorism, there's a reason to go to war with them. So someone in the comments mentioned that Iran didn't have anything to do with 9/11. Iran did not have anything to do with 9/11. As Dan Gabriel said, and this is part of what his movie Mosul explores. Definitely watch Mosul, by the way. It's a great film, and it just came out. It's a real documentary that happened, that it films the Battle of Mosul, the overthrowing of ISIS as it's happening in Mosul. Like, it films everything while it's happening, which is amazing. And because he was in the CIA, so he had these connections, and he was able to make that kind of film. But anyway, as Dan Gabriel said while describing Mosul, he was saying that basically Iran has a different type of jihad. Iran's jihad is not the Sunni jihad. It's not like the Al-Qaeda jihad where they go. Iran's jihad is much more it's much more calculated. Somebody is asking, I have a work-related question I need to ask someone with ties to Iranian community. Can I shoot you an email or Facebook message or something? Sure. You have any questions, send me an email, Facebook message. Send me an email, because I have my email in my profile. Or a Facebook message. You can do that too. So, I don't think necessarily, I don't think. It's obvious that this is not having to do with state sponsor of terrorism. It's really obvious, because, if you look at all the beheadings and all, the crazy shit that goes on in the world, it's not necessarily Iran. In fact, the Iranian society happens to be moving forward very quickly. And even their government, which is still fundamentalist, they're not as intense in the radical side as a lot of the other Muslim countries in the region. A lot of the countries in the Middle East are very intense. So if I don't answer your message, send it to me again. I'm so sorry if I don't answer. It's not, I'm not ignoring you, I promise. So, someone's asking, 90% of jihadists, 90% of jihadists are funded by Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and Pakistan. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know so much about, the different countries, but I can't imagine that Iran is, they've got more terrorism that's going on there than other countries. I can't imagine it, but that's just me. But I'm sure, but there are other reasons for why the United States. So, that's one thing that I would say is, we go into all these wars saying like, oh yeah, it's human rights, we want to do human rights in the region, we want to save the population, we want to save that country, we want to go into Venezuela and, you know, help the Venezuelans fight their oppressive regime, and we want to save everyone. We don't want to save everyone. And so the problem with saying this kind of false narrative is that it's not true. The reason why we're doing it is because of like a military strategy that has nothing to do with, oh, we want to save, because if we wanted to save everyone, we would be going into like Africa and feeding like every single starving person and freeing all these enslaved people who are total slaves to their crazy slave lords. Like, we would be doing a lot of other things if it was just about human rights and like humanitarian efforts. So it's disingenuous for us to say that, and also it's misleading because now you've got a bunch of people who are like, well, these are the globalists, they just want to go around and help everyone in the world, and they're just putting their hands in everything in the world, they're not putting America first, why don't you put America first? And it's like, we are actually putting America first, we're just being very dishonest about it, we're just being very dishonest about how we're doing it. It's all a military strategy, it's all calculated, you know, trying to gain leverage over certain countries and trying to, you know, immunize herself from certain powers. But I don't think it has to do with, you know, I don't think it has to do with like, oh, we're trying to save the human rights in the countries. I don't think it has to do with that. And I don't think it has to do with like, you know, yeah. So it's like, so should we go to war? That's for the military people to decide. But historically speaking, I don't know that going to war has been helpful. We are actually, right now, we are in the longest war ever. The longest war that ever happened on planet Earth, the United States is in, and that's the war with Afghanistan. We are currently in Afghanistan. It's been 17.7 years. Is that crazy? 17.7 years. Oh my god, I'm getting so distracted by these comments. Stop distracting me. It's been 17.7 years that we've been in Afghanistan. And we're just, I feel like it's like a habit at this point. It's just a thing that we constantly doing. And it might not be necessary. But I also don't know, like, I also don't know whether it is really the way that we're told it is, the way that it is portrayed in the media, and even the way that we know it as war versus non-war. People are like, you know, everything is all about like, well, we don't like war. I don't like war either, but I'm sure that we don't know everything. So let's just talk about everything. Max Barkley, stop distracting me with all this. Why are your eyes moving up? If you don't like my eyes moving up, just stop watching. It's just so annoying. It's, now my eyes are down. Ugh, guys are so distracting. So, death to America. People are saying, well, Iran says death to America. Yeah, they do. They really don't. They really do say death to America. And people are like, yeah, that's propaganda. Iranians don't say death to America. No, they really do. The government does, not the people. If there's definitely a very clear distinction between government and people in Iran. And it also, it's very different. There's a difference between, there's a very big difference between the people who, I just got distracted by a text. There's a very difference between when the revolution happened and the current regime went into place And now when things have died down a little bit and it's a different type of culture. It's like calmed down a little bit. The United States is trying to prop up other forces in in Iran, in order to weaken Iran and also have people in place that will be loyal to the United States. The problem with that is, like, it's like a power move. It's a power move. It is really, people are saying, like, America first. Why are we going to war with other countries? No, this is America first. I mean, this is what they're trying to do, is to try and take out regimes and replace them with allies, with our allies. So I don't see that as, like, being against America. I see that as, trying to keep America as, like, a power. And I'm not endorsing it. I'm just saying, like, the narrative is so off in the media. Like, it's about taking out a current government and then replacing it with someone that we feel is going to be our ally. The problem is that it's causing more unrest in the world by doing that. You're causing more unrest by totally disrupting the progress that a country is making and replacing their leader with some other leader who, like, you don't know if they're actually going to be your ally. And even if they are, you don't know if they're going to be good for the country. And are they going to pick up from a positive place where it was left off? We don't know. So, 1 second. So much going on right now at the same time. Oh God, today was just crazy. I literally, like, I flew to Chicago, flew back, just a bunch of other things, started doing this live stream, and then I was gonna go out, but I don't know. Anyway, so now I'm getting a bunch of messages. But at the end of the day, it's not about, oh my God, there's someone in the comments who's just so distracting. I'm going to get a moderator. Someone is going to moderate these comments and just take out these annoying people who are totally distracting. Someone is saying bravo in Farsi to me in the comments. And thank you very much. So, at the end of the day, it's all about leverage, and it's all about trying to take out people that we feel might not be, might be a threat to our power. It's not necessarily about, globalism or, going to wanting to not care about America and wanting to care about some other country. Not caring about another country. It's not. It's really not. It's definitely going to cause unrest in that country. You're basically screwing up another country in order to gain leverage over. In order to gain leverage. That's really what it is. You're screwing over another country in order to gain leverage. Is that ethical? Well, as a U.S. citizen, I don't have allegiance to Iran, so I can't say I'm not going to sit here and defend Iran. But just we should have that in mind. We should know that this is not like a humanitarian effort to overthrow the oppressive Iranian regime. That's not what this is. At the end of the day, this is about the United States. This is about working in the interests of the United States, and it is about protecting the United States. And it's about, as Zeus says in the comments, it's about competing for power and resources. I can't wait to have moderator, because there's this one person in the comments that's just awfully distracting. I think I'm just very tired, and I had some drinks earlier, and it's very distracting. But that's all, folks. Cassandra, I wish Cassandra was here to have this conversation. I really want her to come on. I'm going to try and get her on to talk about Julian Assange. That would be a very interesting conversation. But anyway, maybe tomorrow, maybe later, because I know some of you won't be able to do tomorrow night because it's Shabbat. So later, maybe next week, I don't know. Next week, we also will have Dan Gabriel, the former CIA agent that I was telling you about, 9 years serving as an intelligence officer. He was high ranking, and he was just all over the world. And now he's got his film, Mosul, that he recently put out. And so he might come to talk about what it was like being a CIA agent. And so that would be really exciting. We might also, so this person who was going to talk about mental health bailed, but if not, she might come also. So thank you. Thank you for joining. Really, really appreciate you guys for putting up with me being so late tonight. Hopefully, we'll have a longer one tomorrow. Good night. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you're watching this from YouTube. Hit the like button. Hit the heart button on Periscope if you're here, and see you all tomorrow.